Hey, welcome to Taylor's Trick Taking Table. I'm Taylor, and here we are going to knock out this piñata and get some wonderful trick-taking games out of it. Woo! Okay, these ones are mine, What I get? Oh, I got Piñatas, Fitting, and SavageBowl. These are coming out from Allplay, and they provided me the copies of these games, so huge grain of salt. And it's part of the Sail Legacy Kickstarter that's going on, which I worked on. So another huge grain of salt. But SavageBowl is the one that is part of the Kickstarter campaign. And this is designed by Yurio, and we actually covered this in the past, and we liked it then, but we'll cover the new art by the Miko and some of the awesome new changes in the game. And then we have Reiner Knizia's Piñatas. And speaking of games we've covered in the past, this is a new version of Voodoo Prince. So the new art is Piñatas getting thwacked, and this actually isn't part of the Kickstarter. I think this is just coming to retail from them. Well, look who came to steal some of my candy. Interesting. Well, let's go to the table and I'll teach you how to play Piñatas and SavageBowl. The deck in SavageBowl is 4 suits numbered 1 through 13. There's also the chameleon suit over here, which is numbered 1 through 8. Here we have the game of SavageBowl set up for 4 players. So before I go into the teach and the setup, and I'm just going to do a gist of a teach, because I already have a video if you want to watch how to play over on that in more detail, because this is just going to be a brief overview because the rules are exactly the same. But this has the amazing new art. But, so how to play? Well, at 4 players, you're going to choose the correct side of the mat, because you can also play 5 players, and at 5 players you would use the 12s and 13s in the deck. But at 4 players, you can shuffle and deal 13 cards each player. You can have a yellow card, you can have players score over here, and then also this battle area, which is really important. And then you're going to set up for 1 round, because you're going to play 4 rounds or until someone gets 10 points. So how the game works is the theme is like a bloody lizard football game, and there's going to be a first half and a second half. And in the first half, the ref is there, and the ref is going to be penalizing players who play the strongest card and giving them a yellow card to sit out for the next trick. And after the first 5 tricks, I guess the ref goes home. So then afterward, it's just a normal trick-taking game. And the goal of the game is to get 3 tricks. If you get 4 tricks, you are booted out. But what's interesting, again, is how the strongest actually doesn't win a trick at the very start. So let's go into an example here. So as you can see, there's a lot of wild playing cards in a player's hand. The sparkly finish, kind of the holographic, those are trump, and those go 1 to 8. All the other suits go to either 1 to 11 at 4 players or 1 to 13 at 5. But so let's say this player led with a red dinosaur, or lizard, sorry, the bunker, the toxic thunder. So it is must follow. This player will play that, and then this player up here decides to play this, and then finally the green flower over here will follow suit. Well, what's interesting is they have the 4 and the 11, and this is important for the gameplay. In the first 5 tricks, the person who plays the strongest will actually not win. So maybe this player thinks their hand's really strong, and they want to kind of play the strongest now so that they can cool their hand a little bit so that they can hit that 3 tricks just right. So the strongest player, they do not win. They get yellow carded. Bleep. They're going to get given that yellow card. The second strongest player, because this person's booted, is actually going to win. So the second strongest player is going to take the trick. How the second strongest is evaluated is the second strongest in the lead suit, unless trump has been played, and then it'd be the second strongest trump suit. If there's only 1 trump suit card, then it would be the strongest of the lead suit. And then in a weird example where, let's say this player led this suit, and everyone was off suit, like no one had a red, or no one had a red in that case, because this must follow, and no one played a trump, because if they did play a trump, this would win, because this would get yellow carded. In this case, this would get yellow carded, because it's the only card of the lead suit, and that's going to be highest number. And if there's a tie on number, it's the earliest played one. So in this case, this was the later trick, this player would get yellow carded. So since we already know how this first trick went, what is involved in a yellow card? So first we note this green player did not win the trick, and also notice the yellow card is bigger than the other cards because it's not a playable card. It's just to remind you that, hey, you kind of messed up.
And so before the second trick, the person with the yellow card is going to pick any card in their hand and put it face down on the yellow card tracker here. And then they are actually going to sit out this trick. So this player over here is going to lead to the next trick again. Maybe they decide to lead a pink trump. And this player is must follow. So this player is going to play the 4 and trump. And finally, this player over here is going to play the 7 and trump. And what's interesting is the yellow card player is kicked out. So they do not play. They got rid of one of their cards, so their hand size is the same. But they're going to sit this out. And so the rules still apply. The strongest is going to get yellow carded, boink, and then the second highest is going to win the trick. And this player over here wins this trick. And again, your goal is to get to 3 tricks, no more. So then the same flow is going to continue. That player will discard a card, that player will lead, and these 3 people will be in the third trick, sitting where this player will sit out. And flow like this is going to continue for those first 5 tricks. Afterward, because the ref goes home. So this is going to go away, and then players are going to finish out the tricks. And again, your goal is to get 3 tricks, no more. If at the end of the round, you have 3 tricks, you're going to score points for the round. And if you have either 2 or less, or 4 or more, you actually get 0. And again, if you get 4 or more, you're actually just booted out of the round. As a special bonus, the first person to get 3 tricks is actually going to take this card and put it in front of them. And they're going to get a bonus 2 points if they last to the end of the game. So let's say this person gets 3 tricks first and they make it after the second half, they don't take another trick. Or even, if their third trick was in the middle of the second half and they lasted the rest of the second half, they would get points for the rounds. That's 1 plus 2, so they would move up. So that is the lavender, the purple player, they could go to 3. So everyone, they would get their points. Maybe look like that. Then you would shuffle up and deal for the next round. And you just keep playing rounds until someone gets a 10, or at the end of the 4th round, whoever has the most points wins. The last thing to cover are these cards that everyone will get one, as you can tell, because there's all the player colors on this side. And they're actually, again, they're bigger than one of the playing cards, which is important because they're not a playing card. What they are is a chameleon. And how it works is you get to add this card whenever you're playing and following, not leading to the suit, and you can turn the color of the card you play, you can play any card you want, as if it's the same color as the previously played card. So, for example, if it was lead blue, and then coming up to this player here, maybe they followed suit blue, maybe this player up here wanted to play this 6 really badly. They can play this 6 and their chameleon card, because again, everyone gets one, and it's a one-time use. And now this is a blue 6. So it's a way to get into the trick if they wanted to. And that's pretty much how to play SavageBowl. If you want, again, another full rules teach, check out that video. The deck in Piñatas is 5 suits numbered 0 through 15. And depending on the player count, you're going to remove some cards. At 5 players, you'll use them all. At 4 players, you're going to remove 13 through 15. And at 2 and 3 players, you're going to remove 11 through 15 in each suit. Here we have a game of Piñatas set up for 3 players. So depending on the player count, you're going to put up that deck and deal a different amount of cards to each player. You're going to randomly pick one of the Piñatas to be the trump suit for the round. These are the point chips. And Piñata's gameplay is exactly like Voodoo Prince, so you can definitely check out my video on that earlier, 3 years ago. Whew, that was a long time ago. And even perfectly, the third player who hasn't gotten 4 tricks yet would have 3 tricks, because how you score is you're going to count up all the number of tricks everyone else has when you get 3 tricks. But that only happens if you're not the last one out. If you're the last one out, you only count the number of tricks you have. The trick taking is super simple. In the first round of the game, it's the player who leads is the last player to go to a party. They can play any card they want. It is must follow. It's coming over to Mike and Ike here. Maybe they played the 6. And finally, Oreo over here decides to play the 9. The highest of the lead suit is going to win the trick. They're going to take it and put it in front of them face down. There's some special stuff of the deck, though. As you can see, there are some cards in the suit that have a black inner part, and they have little breaking tokens. So let's say later on in the trick, it looked like this, where one player led blue, this player followed suit with that, and the last player, let's say, didn't have any blue, and they played a low offsuit card that was not trump. So if you win a trick with a 5 or a 7, you're actually going to split the trick into 2. You're going to break it like a piñata into 2 tricks, which is important because, again, once you get a certain number of tricks, you're going to be out for the round. And so let's say, let's jump forward here. And the Mike Knight player got 4 total tricks. They would be out for the rest of the round. They'll discard their cards, and they will not play into tricks. So it'll just be kind of a 2-player game for the rest of the game until, again, another player gets 4 tricks, and then they are out, and it would end immediately. So let's say the Oreo player got their 4th trick after the Mike Knight player was out, and the Dum Dum player, a little bit mean, had 2 tricks. So let's say the Oreo player got 4. They would look around, they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They would get 6 points. But the Dum Dum player, because the last one left, they only count their tricks, so they would only get 2. The last thing to explain is the 0 cards. When they are in a trick where they are part of the lead suit, and the lead suit would have won with the highest card in that suit, then they actually win. So it might seem like an edge case, but all it does is essentially make it so there's no strongest card. So the 10 here actually loses to the 0. But if it looked like this, which is the 8 would win because it's not the highest card in that suit. So you're going to play a number of rounds this way. Whoever did not shed out is going to be the start player for the next round. And after looking at their hand, you're not going to do a random trump anymore. They get to choose which of the piñatas they want to be trumps. So maybe they want elephants. Also, really fun is players are going to be capturing little candy tokens to keep track of their points. And that's how to play pretty much Piñatas. So that is Piñatas and SavageBowl. Huge grain of salt. I was provided these copies, and SavageBowl is a part of a Kickstarter that I did design Sale Legacy on, and developed Sig Tricks on. So a bajillion grains of salt is the saltiest thing ever. But I will say, Piñatas, and I have covered SavageBowl, and Piñatas used to be, let me stand up here, Voodoo Prince. And Voodoo Prince, I believe I've covered in the past, is an outstanding game. I was doing a compilation for the Trick Taking Guild's favorite trick taking games, and what's really fun about on BGG, and what's really fun about that is there's folks on the Trick Taking Guild that have been there forever, and they love traditional classic games, and then there's newer folks who love like modern or like Japanese games. And what's really fun is out of every single title that was rated, Voodoo Prince is number 1. Yeah. I think this has a wonderful mix of appealing to new heads, old heads, and it's Knizia. I mean, I think he's going places, people. He's a designer to watch, is all I'll say. I love the hook of waiting to go out as far as possible. The cards themselves have, in the 5s and the 7s, those like doublings. I think it's just such a clean, simple, fun, amazing, clever game. That's Piñatas. I could talk at lengths about how that one small twist is so clever. I also love the addition this has. You saw in the card art of just like the exploding piñatas. It's funny to have a very cute theme and a very cute art, and then these piñatas are kind of getting absolutely destroyed. It's a little bit graphic. I will say, I think I showed it to a friend who was like, "Whoa!" I think that's quite the reaction. So that is Piñatas. If you don't want to take my salty word for it, definitely check out what the BGG Trick Taking Guild has to say about Voodoo Prince or Old Tailor. I think I covered it before I was this salty. On to SavageBowl. Similarly, I believe I've covered this, Bad Larry. This edition is so funny because I love comedy in games, and like mechanical comedy or written comedy and stuff. And this has something that's just so funny. It's component quality. The fact that the playing cards, are a different size than that yellow card is so funny. And it's so amazing that it actually serves a purpose, because, if you get the yellow card, you have to sit out, and it has to remind you like, hey, you're not playing this trick. And it literally is like a giant card. I still think it works better than the original edition where players would always play. But now players are like, oh yeah, this giant card in my hand. But I think this is a stellar game. It's so clever. It's cool how you can, win early, kind of cultivate hand a little bit before it starts getting to that spiciness later on. And I like the art here. I love that it's like kind of like a trading card, like a football trading card. And this is just another solid lineup. I feel biased saying this, but this whole Kickstarter is just jam-packed to the gills with goods. So check out my old video on SavageBowl for less salty praise and old video on and thoughts on Voodoo Prince. But for now, these two, yeah. I mean, huge bias, but yeah, I think they're great. So that is Piñatas and SavageBowl. And so sorry for being biased. I do really like these, but please, I'll put some resources in the description to check out my non-biased review. I feel so biased, but this is bias week, I guess, or bias month, Kickstarter month. Anywho, at least check them out. I think they're hoots and hots. Thanks so much for watching, and bye-bye!